Mr. Average Hockey Fan here, and tonight I'd like to talk about how Montreal's looking going into the All-Star break. And they're looking really good this year, a lot better than they were last year. They're they're double-digit more points than what they had last year at this time. They're absolutely killing it. Last year at this time, we all knew there was no hope that our team was making the playoffs. It was pretty much after the All-Star break, hoping that they sucked, and for real loyal fans like myself, hoping that they won and showed some kind of dignity, but most people just hoped that they sucked and got a good draft pick, which they ended up doing. We ended up getting Kotkaniemi. But this year has been a whole different story, and I'm going to explain a bit why. A big reason why has been the trades. Alex Galchenyuk got traded for Max Domi. We traded a guy who was considered a lazy player, only wanted to show up when he wanted to. A lot of fans did like him because he did score a bit, and he is an electrifying player when he does show up. But unlike Domi, he doesn't show up every night. Domi's been nothing but a hard worker, nothing but consistent in Montreal, and producing an electrifying player himself. We also got Thomas Tatar, a perennial 20-goal scorer, second-round pick, and Nick Suzuki, a blue-chip prospect from the OHL. Over 100 points last year, 100 points, I'm pretty sure. On pace for over 100 points this year, 40 goals last year. On pace for over 40 goals this year, part of the World Junior team. Even though Canada got eliminated earlier, he was a big part of it, and he was really good. We got Ron Poling, a couple other good draft picks, but that's what we got from the Tatar trade was Nick Suzuki. So that's another big reason, because Thomas Tatar is also, unlike Max Pacioretty, he's not a negative attitude player. If he does have a bad game, he doesn't wear it on his shoulders. He isn't as much of a voice in the locker room, so every time he's being streaky or having a hard go of it, it doesn't impact the whole team like it did with Pacioretty. It was clear the attitude with Pacioretty was affecting the team. You can see how different it is, how different the culture is this year. A lot of people laughed at Marc Bergevin last year when he said they needed an attitude change in the room and there was something wrong with the culture, and he was right. He absolutely was right. You could see it in Patch's interviews how much it was affecting him. He really wanted to be the star in Montreal, and he was plenty of times, but that last year where he really struggled so bad, career lows pretty much across the board, he really wore it on his shoulders, and getting him out of town and getting a star, not a star, but a really stud, strong, two-way player like Tatar who can produce offensively helped this team a lot, and I'm going to explain why. The team so far going into the break, 28, 18, and 5, 152 goals for, 149 goals against, so not that great in goals for, goals against. Like, we don't have a whole pile more goals for us than we do against us, but the team always manages to get wins, and the reason why it's so high, earlier in the season, Yemi and Price did struggle, so it was a lot of high-scoring games where we were losing games like 6-5, 5-4, stuff like that, losing them at the end of games, but they hung in there for most of the games. They didn't lose them all, but the ones that they did lose when Niemi and Price were struggling were pretty bad. Like the Edmonton game, we lost 7-2 or something like that. They're 13.04 power play percentage. Excuse me. And that's just abysmal. 31st in the league. Unacceptable. Terrible is an understatement. Thank God that they're top 5 on 5, and they're killing it 5 on 5, and they're somehow still managing to win with such an abysmal power play, and not that great of a penalty kill either. Penalty kill 79.54%, and that's good for 19th in the league. So out of 31 teams, they're 19th, and they're lucky to be 19th because they've had a pretty good penalty kill the past few games. That's what's got them 19th. They were even lower before that. Leading scorers on the team, Domi, 16 goals, 28 assists, 44 points. Excellent, absolutely killing it. 19 more points than Galchenyuk's 25. I don't know if Galchenyuk's got a point or two recently. I haven't followed the Arizona games, but last time Montreal played Arizona, which was like 2 days ago, Galchenyuk only had 25 points. Domi had 44. Galchenyuk scored, got overturned, so it doesn't count as a point for Galchenyuk. Tatar, 16 goals, 22 assists, good for 38 points. 38 points. Second on the team in points. Tatar killing it. On pace for all career highs. Perennial goal scorer. There's 20 goal scorer, but this year he's on pace for 25. Maybe even 30, who knows. And career high in points. He's on pace for, I think, close to 60 points. Over 50 points for sure. Drew Wang's having a really good year this year. I don't know if it's a career year, but as far as goals-wise, it's a career year. His highest point total, I'm pretty sure, was 54, maybe 60 in Tampa, 60-something in Tampa, something like that. And he's pretty much on pace for what he was in his rookie year in Tampa. He's doing really good in Montreal so far. He's been back and forth. If he could keep it consistent and get his point production going consistently, he'd be a lot better. But he is a good player. He's the quarterback at the power play, and he isn't doing a very good job in the power play. My only real big knock on Drouin in the power play is those lazy drop passes he makes on the power play. Just kills it. He's supposed to be the quarterback, but he's almost like a power play killer, and it's sad to say. But I love Drouin. 5-on-5, playing with Domi has been great, but power play, he has been abysmal. There's no excuse for it. Petrie is fourth in points. He got 10 goals, 25 assists, 35. He's a -8, but still he got 35 points. He's a defenseman. He can't complain there. Also, Domi's a +6 and Tatar is a +10. Drouin's a -3, but a +10 for Tatar, +6 for Domi. Domi's been a minus player his whole entire career in Arizona, so to see him a +6 in Montreal and already doubled his goal total, what he had in Arizona, great. And to see Petrie with 35 points already on pace for career high, going to break his career high last year. So excellent. He should break his career high. Let's not jinx it. Knock on wood. He should. Deneau has been excellent this year. Has stepped up a lot this year. Has been playing the #1 center role and has been doing a pretty good job. I'm not going to say, especially on the defensive end, he always gets down, gets back. A lot of his goals have come from stripping the puck from players and getting into galley, getting an assist back, getting a pass back, getting a goal, or just taking it off her stick and just putting it in the net. A couple of his goals and assists have come from him stripping our players, so he's been really good on the defensive end this year, and he's really good shorthanded too. Joel Armia, he's not on the list, but he's been excellent shorthanded lately. The last game against Arizona, he was first star without even getting a point. That's how good he was. The last minute of the game, my God, he was excellent. He was beautiful. Gallagher has 19 goals, leads the team in goals, 11 assists, 30 points for the top 6 players in points. All these players are having a great year. Doral above their pace from last year, except for Gallagher. He's pretty much on the same pace. He had 30 goals last year. He had an excellent season last year. But all these players are on a higher pace. Domi, Tatar really struggled last year. Deneau got hurt for a bit, but he didn't do that great either. So all these guys are absolutely killing it now. And Drouin has turned it around. He was bad last year, but he did produce a bit. He had over 50 points, so he wasn't that bad. But he's killing it too. Some notes about, the goalies. Price has 38 games played, 20 wins, 13 losses, 4 overtime losses. 20 wins, 13 losses, 4 overtime losses, 2.56 goals against, .915 save percentage. Notable to mention that in the past 2 months, he's really come on. He's been below 900 in, I think it was October and November. He was below 900 at the end of October and the end of November. But coming in through December and January, he's been one of, if not the hottest goalie in the league. Red hot. His past 10 starts, he only has 3 losses. He has under 2 goals against. He has above 940 save percentage in his last 10 games. So Price has been excellent. He's playing like he did in 2014, the year he won the Hart. Or 2014-2015, the year he won the Hart and had a good playoff run. He's been excellent. Niemi's been solid as backup. His save percentage is a little bit lower than it should be because he did have 1 or 2 blowout games where he looked really bad, but he's 8-5-1. He's got 3.66 goals against, .894 save percentage. Notable for Niemi too, he had a huge game a couple games back against Florida where he had the most saves for a Habs goalie since the 70s. He's had 51 saves in the game and completely stole the game for us. And there's been 2 or 3 games this year where Niemi has stole it. He did blow a game in Tampa, but he made up for it by stealing that big game in Florida. Currently third in the Atlantic. Notable mention, if they went into the playoffs right now, they would be playing Toronto. It would be Montreal, Toronto first round. Telling me that wouldn't get all of us Habs fans amped and all of these fans amped too. In my opinion, the Habs would smoke Toronto. Their defense is so much better than Toronto's. Yes, Toronto has Raleigh and Gardner, but neither one of those guys is defensively as good two-way as Weber, Petrie, Ben, as defensively inept as the teams we got. We got fast defensemen like Mete that can jump up on the play. We got all 4 lines producing. We're not just dependent on mixing up lines, hoping that Tavares and Marner and those guys keep going. We know what our lines are. All 4 lines, even our checking line, they may not produce that much offensively, but they can get the team going with their checking and energy, and Delorier getting up on the puck, Chaput back checking, Agostino being fancy with his hands getting in the zone. They're really good. All 3 lines have been good. Deneau, Tatar, and Galley. Domi and Drouin ended up getting split up, but those were the lines throughout the first of the year, and they were excellent. They got a bit stale for a couple of games, so Julian decided to switch it up. He ended up putting Tatar with Domi and Galley, if I'm not mistaken, but he ended up switching up the lines anyways, and ever since then they've been red hot too. The third line has almost always stayed the same, barring injury. It's always had Spiri Kotkaniemi, and always seems to have Arturi Lekin on it, and it's been between Armia, Shaw, and Byron in and out of that slot, the other slot. And the fourth line has been great. It's switched up a bit. We see Pekka in there sometimes. We see Chaput in there sometimes. Sometimes we see Houdan, is not as much as I'd like to see him personally. But the fourth line, no matter who's in there, they're always playing hard. They're always great. One thing about this team compared to last year, when this team gets down a goal or two, if they are down a goal or two going into the second or third period, we don't consider the game over. We don't think Price has to save everything for them to have a chance. This team battles back no matter what. I've seen them come back against Calgary this year when they were down 2 goals in like the last 5 minutes, score a goal in the last 2 minutes, Galley scored a goal in like the last 11 seconds. They completely stole the game. It was crazy. I've seen them come back against Washington, even though they lost in overtime. Seen them keep pace with Tampa, where they lost 6-5 or 7-6, something like that, but they were goal for goal. Tampa, they kept getting the lead, losing the lead. Tampa took the lead. They battled back, got the lead. Showed so much fight in that game against the best team in the league by far. This team is full of fight, full of fire. Love Spiri Kotkaniemi. His big smile, his attitude, his skills with the puck, and the fact he's the youngest player in the league and thriving in Montreal. I think that's has a big effect on the locker room. All the players seem really happy. They seem to all get along with each other. And all the media interviews are no longer negative. You don't see everybody ragging on Marc Bergevin. All the attention on Montreal isn't bad. It's all been good. A lot of people have called us the Vegas of this year, and let's hope we are the Vegas. Even if we don't get a cup to get to the final, it would be amazing advancement as a Habs fan. I was hearing going into this year it was going to be a 3-year rebuild. They were going to have to completely strip the team down, figure out how to trade Weber or Price. I was hearing all kinds of crazy things about this team, and it was absolutely killing me as a Habs fan, especially with the Leafs signing Tavares and everybody saying the Leafs were a cup contender. I didn't believe it for a second the Leafs were a cup contender. I won't believe it until they at least win a fucking round with these guys. But yeah, it was killing me as a Habs fan to hear all this stuff, and to see them doing this good and thriving like they are is amazing. They're top 10 in shots, plus minus, and 5-on-5 scoring. Top 10 in shots, plus minus, and 5-on-5 scoring. They do have 467 penalty minutes, which is also top 10. But that's because we got a few feisty players like Domi and Chaput, who when you get under the skin, they're not scared to fight, they're not scared to trip you, they're not scared to slash you. Weber takes a penalty here and there for getting a bit frustrated. Sometimes mistakes happen, But hey, I love the team. Absolutely love the team. And the penalty kill has been a bit shady, but hey, at least we know 80% of the time they're not going to fuck up on that penalty kill, 79.5, whatever it is. They're 7 points up on Buffalo, who's just below the last wildcard spot. But Buffalo has 2 games in hand. Still a comfortable spot to be. I think Buffalo might have 3 games in hand now, actually, because where they played Arizona. But they're 7 points up on Buffalo, and that's still a really good, comfortable spot to be compared to where they were 3-4 weeks ago when they were just a point up or maybe just out. Buffalo had it. Yeah, so that's all my thoughts. If the playoffs ended, they would play Toronto. I had that written in big notes on my jot note card. Really would love to see it end this way. Would love to see it end with this format. Montreal, Toronto, first round. Habs would smoke them in my mind. I don't think they'd smoke them, sweep them, but I think it'd go to a Game 6, Game 7, and you'd really see what Montreal has put together, and you'd really see Price is superior to Anderson. Don't care what anybody says. Anderson has nothing on Price, isn't half as proven. Yes, Price had a bad half year, but Anderson's had his struggles too, and he hasn't been doing it for 6-7 years like Price. So those are my thoughts on the year. As a Habs hockey fan, I'm very happy, very excited to see what happens after the All-Star break. This is when the real playoff push begins. This is the real season, these last 30 games. Let's all cross our fingers, cross our toes, hope our Habs get to the top. Let's see somehow they go on a miracle run, second in the East. They're not getting first, or second in the East. Second in the East. They're not getting first in the Atlantic. It's going to be so hard to surpass Tampa. Tampa would have to lose like 25 out of the last 30 games. But to see us get that second wildcard spot, or stick in there with the third wildcard spot, or second overall spot, or the third overall spot, to play Toronto in the first round. Let's hope for that. I know a lot of people saying, you want to play Toronto in the first round? I would love to see it. We never get to see it. Montreal, Toronto, let's go. Let's see Montreal smoke them. Let's get those bragging rights. Let's hope the Habs keep going. Let's hope Domi keeps producing. Let's hope Price stays strong. Hope Theal stays healthy. By the way, Andrew Shaw's the only guy on injured reserve this year. Been pretty good on injuries this year. We had Barron out for a bit. Weber was out for the first 25 games, but that was from Barron from last season too. Shaw's injured reserve now. We lost Armia for a bit, but he's back healthy. Barron be back tomorrow from the suspension. So only one guy in injured reserve. Looking good going into the All-Star break. Let's hope even we make a trade line acquisition. Sorry, I get that one mixed up. Trade deadline acquisition? Yeah, trade deadline acquisition. So Bergevin does something else. Who knows, even add a little bit of depth on the fourth line or something, add a bit of scoring on the fourth line, maybe, or get like a third line, somebody go with Kakanyemi, get him going. But those are my thoughts on the year. Let's hope that the Habs keep going. Let's hope they win. Let's go for that second in the Atlantic Division spot. Let's get Toronto in the first round. Go Habs, go, baby.